Hey sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to B-Ball Breakdown. Knicks fans, before you get too excited about this win streak, let's look at the combined record of the opponents that they've beaten. That's right, 62 and 104. Not very good. There's only one quality opponent in the Hornets in that win streak, and the Hornets are struggling mightily right now after their good start. That said, a sign of a good team is when you beat the teams that you're supposed to, and the Knicks are certainly doing that. When I look at the Nuggets game, it was a wild affair with very little defense going back and forth. And let me show you what I'm going to see about the Knicks and why they're doing better.
D'Antoni's teams are always good moving without the basketball. Here you'll see a cross screen for Stoudemire in the corner, and then Fields is going to cut right off of him and get the ball back in a layup. This is the oldest play in the book. Here's the same play, however, they're going to do a better job guarding the cutter to the basket in Fields. So this time, all they have is Gallinari cutting across, and Melo is way too slow getting out there to stop a three. The Nuggets will now do the zipper cut by Sheldon Williams screening down and Melo popping out. The option they run out of this is to screen and roll from Melo. And when they do this, they'll get a lot of attention to Melo. He'll dump it back to Nene for a nice little jumper at the top of the key. Here's what I'll call the pinwheel offense for Denver. They're going to have one cutter through the lane and then another cutter right away. The second one's open, gets a layup. Nice. We know that Melo doesn't play defense, but here are some pretty egregious examples coming up of where he really doesn't do anything out there on that end. Gallinari, on the other hand, actually tries on defense. Here he's going to block Melo's attempt with the left hand, which is really nice. He's going to sprint down to the three-point line. Watch Melo now, he just jogs back into the play while his man pulls up and hits a three. Denver is a bad defensive team, and it's pretty clear when you see people like Billups go underneath a screen against Raymond Felton for a jump shot. Denver will run UCLA high post offense. Billups rubs off the center, comes around with a double screen. However, the bottom screener is going to curl around first, getting to the basket, and then gives it a pitch to Nene. They scramble on defense, but they don't get the loose ball, and Nene gets it in for a dunk, and Stoudemire's mad. Felton is by no means a good defender, but he's got decent hands, and when he can get out in the open, watch Wilson Chandler. Oh my. The danger of running a two-man game screen and roll is that the other three guys are just standing around not engaged into the game. So if you miss a shot like this, the Knicks can rush down the court. The Denver Nuggets do not get back in transition, and they jay it up with a three wide open. Chauncey Billups was off all night, but kept trying to shoot himself back in the game. Didn't help the Nuggets at all with shots like this. Denver goes to a 1-2-2 set to try and get some better offense and spacing. Here they screen out of it from Melo, who ends up getting a nice little jumper off of Gallinari on a nice move. However, there is no movement on offense. Unless you think that Wilson Chandler is one-dimensional and only shoots threes, watch how he can finish the rim with a bank shot off of 1 foot. And in case you forgot, Denver is a crappy defensive team. They let Wilson Chandler, who's already gone off in this quarter, wide open to shoot a three again instead of closing out stronger. And this takes the cake. Here you'll see two guys going to guard Stoudemire. No one gets Turiaf. That's bad defense, fellas. Let's watch how Melo is terrible on the weak side of the defense. He's walking around out there, not in a stance, loses his man, Landry Fields, who's a great three-point shooter. And this is even worse. In transition, he gets his man, and then as soon as they swing the ball, he just starts to walk around out there, completely doesn't remember where his man is, who gets another layup. Felton is back on my radar as a bad defender. Here he has to switch and guard the roller, but he doesn't stay with him. He tries to tell someone else to take him, but you can't leave him going through the lane. You've got to stay on him and take away that layup. Consider this a how not to guard your man on the weak side. Whoops. The Knicks love to screen, then rescreen, and then send the weak side guard up on top for a three, and this culminates in their biggest lead of the game at 12. In the triangle offense, when the ball goes to the corner, you do a screen and roll, which is kind of what they do here. And why it works so well is there's no help on the roller, and they get a dunk here. Into the third quarter of a high-scoring game, and Billups is frustrated over how bad he's playing, and he charges here. The Knicks torture the Nuggets defense with screen and rolls, forcing the help. They don't rotate well at all and very slowly, and Nene has no hope of getting out there for Fields' three. Running screen and roll toward the sideline makes it very difficult to help for the Nuggets. Here, if he would have passed it, look at those two guys on the weak side. Plus, J.R. Smith is so far away from his man. When they get the offensive rebound, J.R. Smith still isn't anywhere near his man, and they get an open three. Having Al Harrington on your team for defense is not going to help you either. Look how much space he gives Wilson Chandler after he's already lit it up all game. So the Knicks are going to make sure they isolate Amari Stoudemire on Harrington. There's no way that he can stop him. Here, J.R. Smith is going to come over to help out, and look how bad that attempt is. He just kind of waves right by the guy instead of standing straight up and trying to stop him. Watch what happens when Landry Fields doesn't close out well. When he jumps by the shooter, everyone else has to cover for him, and they're going to get a wide open shot in the corner for a three. What's wrong with this picture? That's right, Stoudemire's not in the game even though the Knicks are nursing a 1-point lead with 6 minutes to go. So Wilson Chandler throws up a long three that misses, not a good shot. And watch Felton on defense as he comes back against Lawson. Doesn't even try and stop him. The Knicks attack with a pick and roll on the top, which is going to force Nene to come over when the guy rolls, and that gives Stoudemire just enough room to attack and get into the lanes. Watch Stoudemire on defense here. He's just going to back up and let Nene get right to the basket for a layup. That's terrible. Here's that same screen and roll the Knicks ran before, although this time Nene won't bite on the help, so Stoudemire catches the ball a lot farther from the basket. Doesn't matter much though, he's got a great J. Down by 5, they're going to shoot a three. Watch Felton as he doesn't try and box out. So the ball comes back out. They shoot another three. This is all unnecessary for the Nuggets. They don't need a three right now with 2:52 left. But they swing the ball around and they close out on Lawson. Not bad. However, he gets to the basket and hits a really tough shot to cut it to 3. So now the Knicks are up by 3, and they cannot seem to understand how to get the ball to the post for a good shot. So they're going to throw up a long 3, which is not a good shot here. Watch Billups as he doesn't box out his man, and Fields gets right to the basket for the rebound. Gallinari takes a horrible shot there, but they get the ball back, set it up, and then you'll see Felton go to the basket, draw a lot of defenders, and dump it to Stoudemire for a layup. Bad miscommunication here as Felton gets screened, doesn't fight over that screen to get back there, and Chandler expects him to, and he gets right to the basket for a layup. Here's the problem with D'Antoni's offenses. When they need a good shot in the fourth quarter with a minute and a half to go, they shoot a long 3 when they should have gone to the post and got a much better shot and maybe a foul. Of course, Denver rushes right back down the court, finds Billups for a 3, and they tie the game. Finally, they get on the same page. They tell Stoudemire to get to the post. They cut through, and then he does a nice little move to the baseline and pulls up, hits a nice jumper. The Nuggets do a 2-man game with Billups and Melo, and you're going to see that Wilson Chandler does not have to help that much. It should be Gallinari coming over to help. And look at Felton over there with his hands on his hips just standing around, not in a stance. That's terrible. But good blow-by Melo for a dunk. To ice the game, they run a pick and roll toward the middle, and you're going to see Melo should be the one rotating over, but they let Aflalo try and do it. Chandler's wide open and hits his 3.
So there you have it, sports fans. The Knicks are definitely exciting, interesting, have a lot of talent. I really like Wilson Chandler. I like Gallinari too. He's a good shooter and he's tough. They got a lot of little pieces here. Tony Douglas is pretty good. They certainly have Stoudemire playing pretty well, but not on defense. But hey, they can cover for him, I suppose. The biggest issue I have is with the point guard on the Knicks. Felton just doesn't give out every night. I was brutal on him last game. It turned out I think he had some sort of back problem. I don't think it's a problem now, but it looks like he has some problem because he doesn't quite hustle all the time. But if they can get that ironed out, then they'd really have something. As it is now, they should have no problem making the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, and perhaps we'll see a resurgence in the Knicks. That said, will Melo make it there? It sounds like he's uninterested in playing for Denver much longer. He seems to have no trouble scoring, but his defense has never been that good, and it certainly doesn't look good right now. It remains to be seen, but my money would be that Melo would be on the Knicks by February. Thanks for joining us on B-Ball Breakdown. Stay tuned for a Heat breakdown coming up today. And let's not forget, it's not a channel, it's a conversation.